Just ahead on CTV News, educators and students rally this morning to fight against recent education cuts. Plus, Congressman Glenn Ivey taking a stand against the Senate Majority Leader. And
a new scam is taking advantage of Prince George's County residents by impersonating law enforcement. I'm Bryce Parker. We'll have those stories and more coming up on CTV News starting now.
Good evening. This is CTV News for March 19th. I'm Michaela Newton. Thanks so much for joining us. Well, parents, teachers, and students in Prince George's joined a nationwide movement to protect against education cuts. At Wise High School this morning, the group organized a walk-in to push back against federal budget cuts to public education that could have devastating effects here in the county. Local leaders say the cuts could lead to overcrowded classrooms, fewer resources, and even more work for teachers.
We will not allow the billionaire bandits to balance tax breaks for the rich on the backs of our students. That's right. We won't let anyone hurt our students and public schools by dismantling the Department of Education and stealing opportunities from our students.
Just because you don't want to pay for government funding, it doesn't mean that you have to take everything away from these kids. It's not fair. Just because everybody else has different opportunities doesn't mean that the kids here have the same opportunities. It's just not fair.
Why would anyone want to take money away from young people who have special needs? I'm unclear about the direction of this country today.
As a senior about to go to college, like all these financial cuts, I'm like, how am I going to get money for college? But yeah, I am very worried, but hopefully it gets better.
Advocates say the message is clear. Communities won't stand by as public schools face major cuts. And Maryland Representative Glenn Ivey came out against Chuck Schumer and said he should step down as a top Democrat in the Senate. Ivey is the first Democratic member of Congress to come out and say this publicly. At a town hall Tuesday night, Ivey criticized Schumer's handling of government funding and is siding with the Republicans to avoid the government shutdown. Many Democrats saw a possible shutdown as a bargaining tool to fight against the Trump administration's policies.
I was deeply disappointed that Senator Schumer voted with the Republicans. And so I respect Chuck Schumer. I think he's had a great long-standing career. He's done a lot of great things. But I'm afraid that it may be time for the Senate Democrats to pick new leadership as we move forward.
Nearly 800 people attended the town hall at Suitland High School. And the city of Greenbelt is reaffirming its support for the relocation of the FBI headquarters to their community. In a statement, the city council and city manager emphasized that Greenbelt offers the most secure, build-ready, and cost-effective site for the FBI's needs. The city also echoed Governor Moore and Senator Van Hollen's sentiment, stating that changing the decision again could jeopardize national security and delay critical progress. And a new scam is on the rise in Prince George's County. CTV's Bryce Parker has the latest.
That's right, Michaela. So as technology continues to evolve, so do criminals. They're getting more creative with the ways that they use it to carry out their crimes. And we got a chance to sit down with Prince George's County Sheriff John Carr on how to make sure that you don't become their next victim.
We have been receiving several calls. We're averaging probably around 10 to 15 calls a day talking about individuals who have been scammed out of money.
Some victims have lost thousands believing they are paying the sheriff's office to squash outstanding warrants or failures to appear in court. But Sheriff Carr wants to make sure that all Prince Georgians know that's not how they do business.
A lot of our correspondence will be via mail, and when we do call you, we would then give you options to actually come in and speak with us. We would never conduct business over the phone.
This new scam uses technology similar to that of a 911 dispatcher. When you call the number back, you'll get the same person on the other end, allowing the scammer to further take advantage of their victim.
That's what they call spoofing, and we've been seeing a lot of folks, they have actually used real deputies' names with a fake ID number. So once they use those ID numbers and a fake name, They believe they are calling back to the agency, and you're actually speaking to that scammer again.
And if you are ever unsure, you can visit the sheriff's office in person to verify any information that was said to you on the phone. Or you can visit their website to view any relevant warrants or court documents. But most importantly,
please do not make any harsh decisions and provide any funds immediately, because again, you have nothing but time on your side. We would never call you and tell you that, hey, you have a warrant, and we would never ask you for money.
Reporting from Upper Marlboro, I'm Bryce Parker, CTV News.
Again, to view any warrants of court documents online, visit pgsheriff.com. Well, earlier this week, Governor Wes Moore came out against a proposed business-to-business service tax, but Democrat Senate President Bill Ferguson says a new sales tax has to be in the final budget. Minority Republicans are calling the new tax a bailout for the state's budget issues. Governor Moore said he wouldn't support a, quote, broad tax on business services, and at least one Prince George's Democrat agrees.
What the governor said is true. We need to be as narrow and tailored as possible. A broad swath tax right now, I think, is irresponsible. I know that we have priorities and things that need to be paid for, but we shouldn't do it on the backs of our small businesses.
It is so bad that even the Governor Moore, told his fellow Democrats that this is basically a terrible idea. It would apply a service charge or tax to a wide range of services, from accounting to tax preparation. So it's a tax on hiring somebody to prepare your taxes to make sure you're abiding by the tax laws. It's outrageous. It's consulting, public relations, information technology, even stuff like photography and landscaping. Hopefully they're going to scale all this down. Time will tell.
The House's budget plan still has to go to the Senate before it lands on Governor Moore's desk. And a federal judge rules that the firing of USAID workers likely violated the Constitution. According to reports, a judge ordered that the Trump administration must restore email and computer access to terminated USAID employees and those on administrative leave. However, the order did not reverse the firings or reinstate the agencies. USAID workers were let go, and the agency was gutted by the Department of Government Efficiency, which is being spearheaded by tech billionaire Elon Musk. And help could be on the way for fired federal workers who live in Montgomery County. A bill has been introduced in County Council that would give former federal workers preference for open county government positions. Under the bill, it would only apply to those federal workers who were laid off under the Trump administration's Dodge cuts. Roughly 1,000 of the 70,000 federal workers living in Montgomery County have been laid off. A majority of council members support the measure. And you're watching CTV News. I'm Michaela Newton. Still to come, the Prince George's County Chamber of Commerce celebrates and recognizes the achievements of women. We'll have that story and more coming up next. Inspiring.
When we have the food we need, we are at our best. We push further. We rise higher. We unlock our full potential. When we are at our best, we have more to offer the world around us. When we have the food we need, we make our communities stronger. Together, we can help everyone get the food they need to thrive. Join the movement to end hunger at feedingamerica.org/actnow.
Meet the scan, a simple procedure whose mission is to detect lung cancer early.
I'm here to save you.
But I feel fine.
That's great, but you may still be at high risk for lung cancer.
Oh man, that's a new fence.
If you smoke, early detection could save your life. Learn more at savedbythescan.org.
We're with Bridget, whose husband won't be home for months, and whose daughter is due any day. We're with Mike, who's leaving home to protect his family. and yours. Thanks to your donations, we're with all service members and their families who need community, connection, and maybe a bit of magic. Are you with them? Learn more at uso.org today.
After days without power at a student housing complex, power has now been restored at Vi Towers in Hyattsville. The city of Hyattsville deemed the building uninhabitable yesterday morning after a power outage affected the building's water and elevator systems. Tenants say that the building is offering a $300 rent concession. And a University of Maryland student is in custody in connection to a peeping Tom incident. 19-year-old Noah White turned himself in yesterday after a Johnson Whittle Hall resident reported that she found a recording device inside a single-use bathroom on March 11th. UMD police canvassed the building and didn't find any additional recording devices in the bathrooms. White is charged with visual surveillance in a private place with prurient intent and visual surveillance of the private area. And in the midst of massive layoffs affecting the large community of federal workers in Prince George's County, Maryland Cares has launched a coalition to support recently displaced workers. The coalition is intended to create a community where residents can access resources and convene with people who are experiencing similar hardship. And the Prince George's Chamber of Commerce hosts its Women's History Month annual awards breakfast today. The event honors the achievements of women across various fields, from business to education, healthcare, and beyond. It's a celebration of the impact women continue to make in our communities and industries. Several community leaders were in attendance, including Aisha Braveboy. We spoke with the president and CEO of the chamber and attendees on what it means to have events like this in the county.
Only fitting. Women entrepreneurs make up one of the leading demographics in Prince George's County. They are a very prominent demographic within the chamber, and we should celebrate diversity and inclusion of all demographics, but specifically women who lead the way.
I believe in supporting women businesses. I'm a woman-owned business as well as a service-disabled veteran-owned business.
And a group of Black Maryland state senators have written a letter asking the state to honor the settlement of a discrimination suit involving 48 women and Black Maryland state applicants. The call comes even though the U.S. Justice Department has already dropped the case. Trump officials say the suit was aimed at advancing a DEI agenda. The letter was signed by 15 senators and sent to the Board of Public Works. It reads in part that regardless of the actions of the federal government, the state has an obligation to see the consent decree through. Now, it's not known when the Board of Public Works will take up the item. And advocates for banning a pesticide linked to health risk in Maryland are now calling for the bill to be scrapped after changes in the House last week. The bill, which originally aimed to ban forever chemicals and pesticides by 2032, was altered to limit which chemicals could be affected. Critics worry that the changes could weaken PFAS standards across the state. However, pesticide industry lobbyists argue the changes strike a reasonable balance. Advocates say the new version could undo years of progress in protecting public health. And a local nonprofit is providing veterans with free entrepreneurial training. The training classes take place at Prince George's Community College over 10 weeks and teaches veterans a range of topics from creating a business plan and marketing and cash flow analysis. Project Opportunity was founded by Army vet Joe Giorgino over 15 years ago. CTV News recently caught up with Joe to discuss what he hopes participants can walk away with.
Well, the big thing we like them to take away is be able to launch and start a successful business and get to the point where they can hire employees, because most veterans like to hire veterans. So it's a twofold purpose. But the other thing is for them to have confidence that they know how to develop a business plan, so that if entrepreneurship is not right for them right now, 2-3 years down the road, they still have the tools and skills to go out and begin that journey.
And for more information on Project Opportunity or how to get involved in the spring, visit project-opportunity.com. And still to come, if you have a green thumb, you might want to stick around.
I'm Byron Scott in the greenhouse for another segment of Grow With Us. Stay tuned.
My name's Stacy, I'm 57, and I was adopted in 2020. We were adopted in 2019.
And we were adopted in 2021.
We had a house, and it sounds crazy, but it wasn't a home. The one thing that Jake and Emma brought is it became a home.
When I met Dakota, he had just turned 14.
You weren't there for the first this and the first that. I missed the first words, but we got a lot of other firsts.
Watching her say, oh my God, I cannot believe I got my license. And she's like, I passed. And I'm like, girl.
See them grow. It is.
They chose to love us. They didn't have to. They chose us. Family.
You and you.
Kids in the middle.
What I thought was a complete life was nowhere near complete, but it is now.
Learn about adopting a teen from foster care. You can't imagine the reward. Visit adoptuskids.org.
Got one of these hanging on the wall? You're qualified. One of these? You're qualified too. Love a good checklist? Qualified. 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 Yep, qualified.
Because if you know how to put up anything in your home,
you're qualified to save lives by installing free smoke alarms in your community. Go to soundthealarm.org to find a volunteer event near you.
Welcome back. Tonight on CTV News, we introduce you to a student who is a go-to person for academic success in her school. Our CTV News' Katira Jones has a story.
I had to make a resource that not only I could use, but also students that are also in the same predicament as me.
This is 12th grader Alina Urinya from Laurel High School. The first-generation American and Latina student started her business called Alina Study Hub, a free online tutoring service geared to help other high school students.
I make a lot of online videos with lessons from things such as AP Psychology or AP World. I also offer SAT preps as like a top percentile score.
Alina is truly a one-of-a-kind scholar. She not only has a stellar 4.5 GPA, she also scored a 1490 on the SAT, all while running her own business.
And if you're new here, hi, my name is Alina, and get ready and buckle up for this AP government lock-in from somebody who scored a 5 on their AP exam.
This is the kind of videos you will find on Alina's Instagram account called studytips_Alina. The 17-year-old has nearly 400 followers, and on her website, she has 300 active users. But if you ask Alina, it's not about the engagement numbers, it's about helping her peers.
I feel like knowing that I was able to do it on my own, I feel like more people could be able to do this. Like, some people think that they don't have the resources that they need, or they feel like they can't ask for help. And I know I was one of those persons. I'm really scared to ask for help sometimes, but knowing that there are ways you can do it on your own and pull through and get good results.
So what's next for the graduating senior? Well, she plans to head to the University of Maryland at College Park to study business management. Katira Jones, CTV News.
All right, Katira, thanks so much. Annalena is currently in the running for an incentive award program at the University of Maryland. She should soon find out if she is in the running for that scholarship. So good luck, Alina. And multiple new businesses are being added to the National Harbor. First, Crimson Coward Nashville Hot Chicken opened its doors earlier this month. A crumble cookie is expected to open in April, and a new karaoke spot called Karaoke Bar Live K is set to open this summer. IOY Cafe and Wingenton Candle Company are both expected to open in August. And if you like dumplings, a new dumpling and soup restaurant with ties to New York is set to open in early 2026. And today is the last day of winter, and tomorrow is the beginning of spring. It's the perfect time to return to the garden for another segment of Grow With Us. Byron Scott guides us through tonight's topic, late winter, early spring vegetables.
And we're joined by Kevin Alsop and Kavette Kane of Neema's Gardens. We're talking another segment of Grow With Us, and today we're talking about late winter, early spring vegetables. And what are we talking about today?
So today we're going to show y'all what you can plant now that's going to go into the early spring, and also we're going to touch on some companion planting.
And what are we planting? Show us what we're planting here while Kavette does her work.
Okay, yeah, so Kavette is laying the rows. So today we're going to plant some kale, some radish, some arugula, some carrots, and some spinach.
So describe what Kavette's doing right now. She said she's making rows.
Yeah, Kavette is just making some rows, so we can lay the seeds in right now. She's using a stick, to lay some rows, and that's pretty good because we don't want them too deep.
Now, some of these vegetables grow into the earth, if you will, the fruit, if you will, and some will grow above the earth.
Correct,
Talk
and
about that
that's the companion planting component. So the kale, the arugula, and the spinach are leafy greens, and they grow up. The radishes and the carrots, they're root crops, and they go down. Now, even though we have radish tops and carrot tops, but the main vegetable that we consume the most is a root crop that grows down under the ground. So you got to up, you got to down, you got to up, you got to down, you got to up.
So is that why you pick these particular vegetables?
That's exactly why, other than these are some of my favorite vegetables too, but that is exactly why. You can use beets and onions and garlic, and you can do the same thing with different type of plants.
As these begin to grow, what should the gardener be looking for in the garden?
Well, what's going to happen first is some germination. If you read the back of the seed pack, which I always recommend, you have instructions. It'll tell you when you should expect germination, most likely between 7 and 10 days. And remember, the last thing you need to do is water your seeds in. Water your stuff in. Give them a nice good drenching that first time to activate it.
But it's also very important to make sure they get a whole lot of sunlight. Don't underestimate that.
That's true, that's true. And these, you can plant these, they can tolerate some shade, but you want to get close to, with these leafy greens, at least 4 hours of sunlight.
So for the home gardener with questions, how to find out more information from you, what's the web address?
www.neemas, that's N as in Nancy, E, M as in Mike, A as in Apple, S as in Stephen, Gardens with an S. www.neemasgardens.com.
Okay, once again, Kevin Alsop and Kavette, got that right. Take it back, guys. Thanks.
Peace.
All right, Byron, thanks so much. And again, for more information, go to neemasgardens.com. And listen up, if you're a current or laid-off federal worker ready for baseball season, the Washington Nationals have a treat for you. The team will be giving away 2 free tickets to each worker for their exhibition game against the Baltimore Orioles. The game will be at Nationals Park on Monday, March 24th at 1:05 p.m. All you have to do is download the MLB Ballpark app, provide proof of current or former federal status, and redeem your tickets at the first base box office. And Simon Buggs is here with our Wednesday sports page.
Hey everybody, a great local matchup took place yesterday between the UMD and Georgetown baseball teams. And I've got some highlights for you from the exciting matchup coming right up on CTV Sports. Don't move.
This is my house. My parents helped build it. Now we don't get wet when it rains. I don't get too hot or too cold inside. And I don't have to worry when the winds blow. This is my house.
This is my house. This is my house. This is my house. My house.
My house. I can play with my sister. I can play with my brother. I can play with my mother, my father, my family.
My family.
My family.
This is my house.
This is my house. I can study. I can be safe with my family. This is my house.
This is my house.
This is my house.
This is my house.
My house.
My house.
This is my house.
Visit Habitat.org to find out how you can help more families like mine have a safe, decent place to call home.
Wake up and clear the clutter. Send your old electronics packing. In Maryland, you can e-cycle through many manufacturers or through your county, and usually it's free. Visit mde.maryland.gov/e-cycling to find out how to recycle electronics in your county. mde.maryland.gov/e-cycling.
Our individual voices are powerful, but not everything has a voice. Let us be a voice to the voiceless, the caretakers our home deserves. If there's one thing we've learned, it's that when we all come together, the sky is the limit. It's time to speak up for nature.
CTV Sports family, go ahead and grab a seat because your Wednesday sports page is finally here. We begin with some action from the Diamond. The UMD baseball team looked to defend home turf yesterday as Georgetown came to College Park to try and pull off an upset. The Terps were scoreless in the first inning, but so were the Hoyas as Maryland played some good defense as Jake Yeager got his man out as he ran to first base, and soon after, outfielder Aiden Hill made a good play, showing good concentration to catch the ball to give Georgetown their second of 3 outs in the inning. But in the second inning, the Hoyas offense came alive as with 2 men on base, catcher Ashton Seymour had this big hit that ended up being a 3-run homer, putting Georgetown ahead 3-0. But not too long after, Terps utility player Hollis Porter was at bat, and this big hit to right field was out of arm's reach for any Hoyas outfielder, giving himself a home run and the Terps' first run of the game. And now Maryland was only down 3-1 on Georgetown. Now both teams went scoreless in the third inning, but in the fourth, Georgetown got back on the board again, hitting another home run, this time courtesy of number 7, Blake Schaff. And the Hoyas went back to a 3-run lead as the score was now 4-1. But in that same inning, outfielder Elijah Lambros came through for his team as this hit to left field resulted in a 3-1 homer for his squad. And with that, the Terps were able to tie the game at 4 apiece. Maryland continued to make plays on the offensive end in the fourth as with infielder Eddie Hakopian on third base, Braden Martin was able to bring him home, giving the Terps another run, and now the team was ahead 5-4 on the Hoyas. The Terps then scored one more run before the end of the inning thanks to another RBI, this time from Porter, giving the Terps a 6-4 lead. The game remained close over the next 2 innings as the game was tied at 7-all going into the 7th inning. But after scoring 7 runs in the 7th and 8th innings, it was too much to overcome, and Maryland came out on top in the end, 14-7. Man, that was a good game. Definitely glad baseball season is back. In other Terp sports news, congratulations to men's basketball coach Kevin Willard for being named the NABC's East District Coach of the Year. In his 3rd season in College Park, Willard led his team to their 2nd March Madness berth in the last 3 seasons with a 25-8 regular season record, which was the 2nd best in the Big Ten. Maryland's 25 wins is tied for the 6th most in program history. Willard also has the best 3-year win total in program history with 63. This marks the 7th Coach of the Year honor for Willard. He and the rest of the team will return to action against Grand Canyon University in the opening round of the NCAA tournament on Friday at 4:35. And wrapping up sports, the Washington Capitals took down the Detroit Red Wings last night 4-1. They'll face off next against the Philadelphia Flyers at home tomorrow at 7 o'clock. And that wraps up your Wednesday sports page. Simon Buggs, CTV Sports.
All right, Simon, thanks so much. Let's get a look at our 3-day weather forecast. Tonight will be mostly cloudy. Tomorrow it'll be 70 degrees, but we have a 90% chance of rain. Friday will be sunny and breezy. We'll have a high of 57. Saturday will be partly sunny with a high of 63 and a low of 37. And for our community calendar this Saturday, the Bowie Youth and Family Services will host its annual Young Adult Job Fair. The goal of this job fair is to help connect local employers with 16 to 24-year-old young adults seeking summer, part-time, or full-time employment. This event takes place at the Bowie Gymnasium from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. For more information, contact 301-809-3033. And that wraps up for CTV News. Thanks so much for joining us. We'll see you again tomorrow. Have a good night.